But now, wait for it, here comes your race winner from Barbados, RSGP driver. Zane Maloney is your race winner in Monaco. He wins round number 3.
Zane's been doing quite well in karting locally here.
Right now, as has Maloney. Maloney will have a run on the exit. Zane almost had a go at Johnny down so until he won. Maloney gets a haircut. How good is this, the OK final?
First day that we went on, you know, it was just for Zane really to familiarize himself with the track. And after the first 3 sessions, Zane started putting down fastest times. Everyone was kind of looking on, you know, who's this kid, where is he from? Following day, we went straight into qualifying, and Zane set the fastest time, put the card on pole.
Really tough, I think. What's your feeling? You are in the podium.
I'm very happy because it's been a hard weekend for us, so to get a podium is brilliant. If one little mistake by anyone happens, they bump draft a lot out there, and once you lose them, they're gone. My dad has been teaching me a bit, but they have fast drivers up there. That's my mechanic now, so he tells me a few things. He looks at my GoPro and tells me what I'm doing wrong and what I'm doing right.
The results were encouraging, and we said, well, let's give him some more tests.
Here we go, Zane Maloney to the right of screen there. Here, battle on the brakes in towards turn number 1. Out of the first corner, and Zane Maloney retakes the lead at Zambor. The boy from Barbados is back into the race lead. Fantastic driving.
The cross to the inside to defend from Zane Maloney. Maloney simply takes the clean event.
Easy job, head down, keep going. Amazing, keep going.
What a brilliant result. The driver from Barbados is on pole position for the first time this season. Second, yesterday's winner, but pulling up into the front space. A difficult year last year by his standards. Zane Maloney puts himself in the fight for the championship with a win here in Monaco. What a boost of confidence that's going to give him. He stands on the car. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. Zane Maloney and Ollie Goethe. Big incident at Blanchimont. He's getting out, and that's good news. That's what we want to see. Ollie Goethe jumping out of the car. Zane Maloney, we saw him walking away.
Oh, Zane was just on the inside. Ollie maybe didn't see him. It's a big impact for Zane there, with the second impact from Ollie coming into it.
Well, thankfully you can see Zane Maloney is going to start from the front row of the grid. Thankfully he's all okay after that incident yesterday. Roman Stanek.
The 2 tridents, Roman Stanek and Zane Maloney.
They go now, and Maloney with the yellow front wing there pulls to the outside. Is he going to go through into the lead of the race? The boy from Barbados here trying to charge through into the lead, makes his way round the outside. Zane Maloney leads the way here at Spa, out of the final corner, and for the first time he is a race winner in FIA Formula 3. The Trident driver crosses the line.
Oh my goodness, well done guys. Finally, yes!
I don't feel nervous. I just go because if anything that they could do to me, I could do to them. If I make it to Formula 1, I'll be the only Barbadian and probably the first Barbadian.
Well, welcome to Bushy Park, and what we hope will be a very special evening to celebrate the achievements of one Barbadian teenager whose success in the world of motorsport, some of which you have seen in recent years, has propelled him and Barbados onto the world stage. And as you'll hear, there is still a bright future for the said Zane Maloney. On behalf of Zane's team, I would like to offer a particular welcome and thanks for being here tonight to the Honourable Ian Gooding-Edghill MP, Minister of Tourism and International Transport. Our friends from Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc., Corey Garrett is already here. I know Jens Threnhardt, the CEO, is on his way. Jens, of course, having already had first-hand experience of Zane's talents, having been driven around Bushy Park and a radical back in March. We also have the President of the Barbados Motoring Federation, Senator Andrew Malady, their Vice President, David Williams, and representatives of the BMF's member clubs, including the Barbados Karting Association, in which Zane won his first championships. Also here are representatives of Corporate Barbados, whose sponsorship has assisted not only Zane, but also others in motorsport, and the media who have tracked his progress over the years. And a special thank you to Automotive Art, Express Motors and Williams Industries for their support and sponsorship of this evening. Finally, there's a group of Zane's superfans who joined us this evening as representatives of his growing social media following. Welcome to you all. Without more ado, will you all please put your hands together and welcome the boy from Barbados, Zane Maloney. Good evening. Yours is the middle seat and the middle microphone. We'll get to you in just a moment. Before you hear from Zane himself, there's one other special guest who wishes to say a few words, and to introduce him, here is BMF President Senator Andrew Maloney.
Good evening, everyone. I have a few notes here. So, well, what can I say? A few years ago at the Federation, a number of years ago, we set ourselves a target, which was to have a Barbadian in a World Championship. Last year, around this time, when I heard that Zane was going to be in F3, that's a World Championship, and we had achieved that a goal. And then, of course, our next goal would be a Barbadian as a World Champion, which we are on our way to, I believe. It's with great pride, I guess, and that we're all here, and having the BKA, the Barbados Karting Association, and what they do for the young kids, young boys and girls coming up in the sport is really, really important, and how Zane inspires them. But it's a part of Zane's life that I get to see, because I travel to a lot of the races, and a lot of them, and I want to just tell you a little bit of a personal story, what I know about Zane here before I introduce who you asked me to introduce. But there's a lot of sacrifices that have to be made in order for Zane to be sitting up here this evening. And a lot of those sacrifices you don't see. I talk about the sacrifices of the mom and dad, seeing the son leave and live in Europe for the amount of time he did. What did they miss in things that they're growing up? I've been to many races and there was no mom and dad there, and there's no brothers there, and there's no uncles there. There's just little Zane. And most of the other drivers up there in Europe, they've got full support teams around them, full support teams. And it is inspiring to see how this young man matured and how he handled himself. And I want to give you one statistic about that maturity. In Formula 3, like Formula 1 and in Formula 2, we have penalty points for drivers who behave badly. If you're judged to be the cause of an incident to do with driving, you're given points. I want to tell you all that Zane's first year in Formula 3, everything he did, all those close racing you saw up there, not one penalty point in 2022. Absolutely amazing. Last thing before I introduce our special guest, you know, for some of you in the room, you may not realize this, but there are tens of thousands of karters around the world. Tens of thousands. And those tens of thousands of karters end up with about 400 of them end up in what we call CIK karting, which is the FIA karting in Europe, CIK karting. And those 400, maybe 500, are aiming to get in to Formula 4. That's the next round on the ladder. And there are about maybe 120, maybe 110 Formula 4 seats in the entire world, from the United States all the way out to Japan. Zane, as you know, won British Formula 4. But after Formula 4, you're not finished yet. You're just starting on the rounds. You've got to go to Formula 3 regional. And there's about 70 seats available for that. So we whittle it down a little bit further. And every time you step, that round on the ladder gets further and harder to do. From Formula Regional, when you get to Formula 3, there's 30 seats. That's it. And those 30 seats are then vying for 22 seats in Formula 2, where you will be next year. And of those 22 seats, you know what they're vying for? Maybe 1, maybe 2 seats a year open up in Formula 1. This is not easy. Remember where we're coming from, and every single round on that ladder gets harder. And like how we say in Barbados, it takes a village to raise a child. That's what it takes to get where Zane is. It's taken all of you, everything, what little each of us may have done, however it might have been. But you're an inspiration to the Federation, Zane, and I thank you for that. So, now to introduce, that was my few words.
Thank you.
In 2008, I met this gentleman. This was my first time in a Formula 1 stewards room, and I remember it well, 14 years ago now that I've been there. But this gentleman, well, I got to pull back up my notes so I may get it wrong. I want you all to know this. He won his first World Championship on a team in 1970 with Lotus, Formula 1 World Championship. After that, 2 more were to come in 1981 and 1983 with Nelson Piquet and Brabham. He's also won a World Championship in 2021 in motorcycles for Yamaha, again as a team, I think maybe the principal at that point in time. There are very few people, John Surtees is one, who has won World Championships in both motorcycles and in cars. But our dear friend here tonight has won that as well. I knew him as Deputy Race Director in Formula 1, working with Charlie as an inspiration. And he always had kind words to me, and he's always been a really good friend. And I'm really, really pleased to introduce to you all the current ambassador for volunteers at the FIA, former Deputy Race Director, 3-time Formula 1 World Champion team, Superbike World Champion, and current Yamaha Director in the World Championship, my friend, Herbie Blash. Herbie.
Thank you, Andrew. A little bit embarrassing. First of all, I haven't seen the man. So, yeah, first of all, thanks for the intro, Andrew. I met Zane around about 4 years ago, and basically took an interest because obviously very unusual to have a driver from Barbados. And Zane was driving for a very good friend of mine whose team I was following. So from the very early days of when Zane was in Europe, I was already following him. And this last year, because I've been in every Formula 1 race, I've had the opportunity to follow Zane, and you've really been a big inspiration. You really have.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. What you've achieved. And I look back and I remember your face, and I don't know if you remember your first podium in Hungary. And I was outside the rostrum, and your face, your smile, and made me smile and made me very happy as well. And then you went on to get your first victory. Now that first victory was something else, that really was. Having the accident on the Saturday, and then to get in the car and win, that's the champion's drive. But of course it didn't end there. So you ended up being second in the championship. But I go back to Zandvoort, and I go back to your dad, who he was watching you from around about 300 meters away, and he must have done 300 meters in 30 seconds to get to the podium to see you. And we were hugging, and I've never seen your dad out of breath like that. You were absolutely, but that was a lovely moment as well. So we've then moved on, and first of all, the FIA to win the Rookie of the Year is quite something. That was so that took place last Friday, and you had everybody from the world of motorsport, every world champion, and you had Charles Leclerc who presented you with the trophy. And that really is something. Nearly everybody that's gone on from there has made Formula 1, so there's no pressure. And now, obviously, you're moving up to Formula 2, and more importantly, you have Red Bull backing. And you're also going to be doing some sim work, I believe, on the Formula 1 project. So your foot is in the door of Formula 1. Yeah, the boy from Barbados, what an achievement.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, as I say, I just wanted to say a few words because I'm such a supporter of yours, and I'll do everything I can to help you, as you know. And next year, I don't want to be up here saying the boy from Barbados. I want to be saying the champion from Barbados.
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Herbie, thank you very much indeed.
Okay, thank you.
Could you leave the microphone, please? Thank you.
How much are these?
Actually, they're quite expensive, aren't they? Right.
I'll take it home.
Herbie, thank you so much. Great to see you. One final introduction. Actually, those of you who are familiar with British television might think this is now turning into This Is Your Life, because lots of people are coming up and saying different things about Zane without giving him the chance to do so. One final introduction. The man in shorts is a man called Steve Deeks. Steve is a former Formula 3 driver. He's a pilot. He's Silverstone senior instructor, race instructor, all sorts of stuff like that. And he's been here for 2 days rewriting the driving school programs for Bushy Park here, making some promotional movies as well. And he spent some time with Zane. So we're going to sort of attack Zane from both sides with assorted questions and finally give Zane a chance to talk. Steve, you go and sit the other side of Zane. And we'll start off, you've seen a little bit of the history, but my first question for Zane sort of goes like this. Many of you may not know that Zane's grandfather, Doug, raced way back in the 1960s, probably put 6 consecutive decades together of racing or rallying or something. He spawned 3 sons, Sean, Mark and Stuart, who all have won things in racing cars. Stuart was the Caribbean Male Racing Champion in 2008. And then you've got cousins, Joshua, Justin came 4th in the Radical Caribbean Cup this year. When you were a kid, did you have any interest in riding horses or anything else like that? Or wasn't there much chance to do anything else?
Well, good night everyone, firstly. No, when I was young, I used to do any sports possible. So from when I was 3 or 4 years old, I was playing football, tennis, cricket, but racing was always my passion, and I was at the track mostly, obviously with my granddad and my parents, also Joshua, so we pushed each other very hard from the very beginning, which led the way to what I'm doing now.
Bradford, did you hear that? He said, when I was young. You're still young, annoyingly.
Because you were racing originally in 60cc karts and then junior karts in 100cc. Against Joshua a lot of the time, it was either you or he who tended to win those championships. And so in a very short space of time, you'd been the Barbados Karting Association champion on the old Bushy Park, which was a circuit as designed by Mr. Busy Williams, who is sitting just over there, one light on his old race car, when this used to be an onion field. A long time ago, in the 1970s, it became the early Bushy Park, and that was the first circuit that you raced on here, which was about 9/10 of a mile or something like that. It was a bit bumpy. It was a challenging circuit to drive on. When did you start realising that you had a particular talent that perhaps others didn't have?
Well, firstly, Joshua used to push me hard, so right away when I started, I knew that he was talented as well, and we were going to push each other. And to be honest, quite early I knew that I had some sort of talent, but I was also playing football, so I would leave the track and the next day go to school and play football for St. Gabriel's School, and cricket as well. So to be honest, the first time I really had an understanding that this can go further as a career was in Glanigors in 2014, when I had the opportunity to go and do a 60cc race. So
that's the circuit in the UK, isn't it?
Yeah, in the UK. And up until then, it was more come out and have some fun. And enjoy the weekend.
Because I remember when you went to Glenigor, the guy who was running the British governing body at the time said he'd seen you in it, that he saw something in you that instantly was going to work. So after having achieved stuff here, you then left, well, you didn't leave the island, you started racing abroad a lot more, 2017, 2018. How complicated was it for you going abroad, leaving the family? Because I think Mum spent a lot of time in Europe with you, didn't you? I mean, that sort of breaking a family in half must have been a bit challenging for all of you.
Well, I think my mum was happy to get away for a bit from my dad.
And this is no reflection on Sean, his father, obviously. Oh, she's put her arm. Oh, look. Oh, how sweet is that?
Yeah, it was tough to leave everyone. It was each time leaving my dad, and sometimes my dad would travel and then my mum wouldn't. It was very tough, but yeah, my mum looked after me, and we had because in motorsport it's ruthless, so to have someone there that you can speak to on a night, or if something's not going well, to be able to speak to someone other than the team that's telling you what to do all day. It was nice. And yeah, of course I travel mostly alone by myself. Even if someone comes, I'm in my own hotel room and traveling with my team, but those days were very nice.
How did education work? How did you sort of deal? Because clearly your parents had obviously would have wanted you to continue your schooling just in case all of this car racing business didn't work out. How did that work out for you? How were you doing at school?
Yeah, so at St. Gabriel's I wasn't traveling much, so it was quite normal as a kid growing up. And then I went to St. Michael's after 11 plus, and I did 2 years there, but it was too difficult because I needed to get the work sent. I maybe had 1 day every 2 weeks to be able to do schoolwork. So then I moved to Lockerbie College, where they were able to focus on just me a bit more and not an entire class. And then I finished my CXCs. I passed them. My mum was happy. I passed all of them. And then after that, it became too much, and the focus was getting to Formula One, which it still is. So I had to kind of put school aside and focus on racing.
So karting you did well in the European Championship in the German, and then 2019 was the beginning of your car racing career in the British F2 Championship. That was a big leap, I would imagine, after the cars.
Yeah, it was very big. It was quite natural because I was going from a team called Ricky Flynn Motorsport, which is a UK-based team, over to Carlin, which is also a UK-based team, and they all know each other really well. So I moved over maybe an hour away from where I was before, and it was great to be able to do so well straight away. I think that was mostly down to the work of the team and how great they did, and I was able to transition very, very easily from a go-kart to a car, which is usually very difficult. They really made it a lot quicker than it should have been, which allowed me to of course, win British F4 straight away in my first year of cars. Then it started to get more difficult after that, and when I started getting into more technical cars and more higher up championships that are tougher.
Yeah, I mean the British F2 Championship, you finished at Brands Hatch. About 10% of the crowd at Brands Hatch that day had the surname Maloney. And it was a terrific day. As a non-Bajan Brit, I was very proud of what happened that day because it was a terrific end to the season. And because you won that rookie championship as well. Oh, incidentally, if any of you didn't know, that trophy over there is the FIA Rookie of the Year trophy, and the security man is that big tall bloke at the back called Kevin. So it won't be going anywhere other than back in the boot of Zane's car. But it's a trophy well worth looking at because it is seriously classy. So you won the rookie trophy as well in F4, but then the next couple of years it wasn't quite so easy, particularly 2020 wasn't so bright, was it? The Euro Formula Open, as it was called then.
Yeah, that year was very difficult. I moved up with Carlin as well, who were quite new to the championship, so straight away we struggled, and me as well. I had the wrong approach. I won British F4, and I expected to be at the front straight away in Euro Formula, and the step up in car was a lot bigger than we expected in the beginning, so I struggled a lot that year, and midway through that year is actually when I joined ADD Management, which they turned everything around. They kind of gave me a new approach to racing, and focusing on myself more, and then of course we started the preparation for Formula Regional, and as soon as I joined them, really my path in my career changed, and I became a much better driver.
Because they're involved in you as a person as well as a person driving a car.
Yeah, well, ADD management, they're the management side. They're also they send a coach with me, Robbie Kerr, each weekend. So yeah, it's very personalized, and they know what is best for me and what I need on a weekend to perform. Because at the highest level in racing, it's almost everything that can make a difference. If you get 7 hours instead of 8 hours sleep, or if you eat one less strawberry in the morning, it can make a difference. So they know what I need, and they're able to help me a lot.
They're sort of controlling diet, and because I know you're a big exercise person, and fitness is terribly important driving these single-seat cars.
Yeah, well, especially when you step up a car, it's very physical in racing. You almost have to train more than anyone else just to have that edge, because everyone's so competitive on the track. So yeah, I'm in the gym a lot with Dominique, my fitness trainer here in Barbados. Lots of cardio, lots of strength, and if you feel anything in the car while driving, you're not performing to your best. So that's one thing I make sure to do to the best of my ability. If I don't do well on a day, I know it's not because I'm not fit enough.
I mean, you finished fourth in that championship in Formula Regional, and of course you won at Monaco. In that rather, I remember Andrew Maloney mentioning it at the time, of course, during COVID, so there was no crowd, and there was this really moving scene of you standing on the middle of the podium and the flag being displayed above you, and the Barbados national anthem floating over this totally silent Monaco, and that's all you could hear. And I found that a very moving experience. What was it like for you standing up there? Do you blub when you win things? You know, do you get all sort of weepy or not, or are you one of these strong lads who just stands there and smiles?
Well, I struggled to see with the moment. So days after Monaco, it was quite not emotional. I try not to get emotional, but it was very cool to win in Monaco.
You see, he's one of those. It's very cool. That's fine. That's okay.
A track that I watch Lewis and all the F1 drivers win at, and everything about the weekend is crazy. It's yachts all the way around the track. I remember getting in trouble during the track walk with ADD management because I really wasn't paying attention to the track. I was more paying attention to everything around. So yeah, Monaco was the one weekend that I could have prayed to win in that year, and I was able to win it, so it was very cool.
Because Isaac, your teammate, had won on the Saturday, hadn't you? You won on the Sunday.
Yeah, so when I got pole, already that was a great achievement. It was an amazing lap. You need to come so close to the barriers in Monaco to stand a chance at being on pole. So yeah, the focus was more on Sunday. Let him win Saturday because it's impossible to overtake. So I settled for second on Saturday, kept the car intact, and then yeah, the win on Sunday was going to come once I didn't make any huge mistakes.
And a terrific weekend for Race GP as well, because they went on to win the teams award as well, thanks to your efforts and Isaac. And of course, what now happens is that a lot of you move up, so you're racing in a different car the following year against a lot of the same guys that you've already been competing against.
Yeah, so like Uncle Andrew said, it goes from 500 people in karting down to 22 now, and usually I've had the pleasure of racing so many different great drivers, and especially my teammates have always been amazing drivers, and a lot of my teammates are moving up with me as well, which shows that they're at a great level, and I think that's another reason why I'm able to do so good, is because my dad, Uncle Mark, all of my sponsors have put me in a great position where I can be driving against such amazing teammates, and they push you to another level. So I think it shows that we can do it in a few years.
Steve?
You know, Robin, the first thing I should point out, when I was listening to you talking about Zane's time karting in Europe, I did say, I was speaking to your mum earlier, and I said to her, well, at least you got to see Europe. And she made the good point that you got to see a lot of kart tracks in Europe. There's a big difference, I think, isn't there, from travelling around for, you know. But I have to say, I first met Zane when I came over here with Jensen Button to host the Barbados Festival of Speed with your good self, Robin, and went back to Silverstone, and I said, there's this kid in Barbados, you've got to keep an eye on him. Barbados is going to produce somebody who's going to be really, really good. And I didn't actually just mean the driving side of the business. I think what Zane has is definitely an ingredient that Formula One needs at the moment, because I would say in terms of character, presentation, he's just a breath of fresh air. And to me, it's not lost on me the fact that you've been chosen to be Red Bull's reserve driver in 2023, because I think that actually there's a team there that you're going to fit well, but you'll be really good for the Red Bull program. And I'd imagine from your point of view, joining a world championship, the world champion team, for a young guy, that must be incredibly exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it was amazing, of course, to join the program and to be reserve driver for next year as well. How the season was going at the beginning, to be vice champion now and to have a reserve drive in Formula One is, yeah, I wouldn't have believed it, but I guess it's all down to the hard work from Uncle Mark and my entire family and everyone here supporting. I got my stride at the end of the season. And
well, let's share that with the audience, actually, Zane, because the reality is, to be as tenacious and to stay positive, I mean, it wasn't an easy start to the season. You couldn't have imagined, apart from your confidence in yourself and your mindset, you couldn't have imagined being in this position, surely, at this end of the year.
Yeah, well, at the beginning of the year, I remember getting told a lot to go on some walks to calm down and to regain myself. I remember in the first round, with the engine blow up, was very difficult to start the year off like that. And then in Imola, to get pole was amazing, and to spin in the lead was even worse. I got used to it. I went to Barcelona and I missed the weighbridge in qualifying, so I had to start from the pit lane in both races. So I got used to the down feeling, which made the ups a lot nicer.
And we saw on the film one of the scariest moments of the whole year. I would say that was one of the highest G accidents I've seen throughout the season, really. Tell us a bit about that, because to come back the next day and win, I'm amazed actually you came back at all the day after. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, it was a very big crash. I do remember I remember all of it, but a lot of it is a blur. It was a very big impact, and I was also in Spa. It was very cold, so my hands were already cold while driving in the race, and I couldn't feel them. But when I crashed, I definitely felt them, and they were burning quite badly for a good hour. And I was eating gravel for a few days, so it was a very big crash. And Uncle Stuart was there with me, so I got back to the hotel, got some ice on me, and I knew that I had to start second the next day, so I had to compose myself. And to be honest, when I got to the track the next day, it felt like a normal race, and I was ready to go.
And you delivered. And at Spa, brothers, you'd have to agree, that was a mercurial performance. To come back from a shunt, how many G's saying that one?
Well, I'm not exactly sure, but I think it was above 50.
Okay, and then to the next day to deliver the win. That's exceptional, isn't it? Do we know if that's been done before? I can't think of it.
Well, what hasn't been done before is winning 3 F3 feature races in a row, which is, of course, what you did at the end of the season. And then the last race ended with a red flag. What was that like? That must have been a bit nerve-wracking, really, because was it going to restart? Was it not going to restart? And then you're all sitting in the pit lane wondering what's going on. And then track penalties, track limits penalties started getting thrown out. Was there a little bit at the back of your mind that said, I might win this?
Yeah, well, I went into the race knowing that I have to win the race
Yes.
to have any chance at the championship. Victor Martins was starting 4th, and he got past me in the beginning. So I knew that I needed to win and try to just hope for the best. I won the race, and I was leading the race. Of course, when it was red flagged, I was still in the mode of driving and not focused on anything else. So I was focused on getting a good restart. Of course, the race didn't restart. And then when the race didn't restart, straight away I heard that he had a 5-second penalty for track limits. So at that point, I thought I had won the championship, because the safety car, I had thought, stayed out for more than one lap, which meant that everyone was bunched up. Which
Yeah,
5
so
seconds
5
would have put
seconds
him-
would have meant something
Yeah.
more. Yeah.
In the end, it didn't, but it was, a crazy emotion, going back and forth, getting told I won the championship from this person, and then going to another person and I didn't win the championship in his eyes. So, yeah, it was still a great feeling. I won the race. I knew I did everything I could, and whatever the result was, I was happy with.
Yeah, I mean, before those last 3 races, you were 86 points behind. In the end, you were 5. Makes you think about that earlier part of the season a bit more.
I still think about it every day.
I bet you do. Now, I wonder if we've got any questions from anybody in the audience. Because if you want to wave your hand, because what I'll do is I'll bring a microphone and stick it in front of your mouth so that we can actually hear what you want to ask. So does anybody have any questions? Problem is that Merville's wonderful lights mean I can't actually see anything. So I'm going to hover around here, try and avoid walking in front of any speakers, just to see if there is anybody in the body of... I have tripped over almost immediately Barbados Service Medal winner Trevor Thorpe, journalist of note. Oh, you know how to hold a microphone, so I don't need to hold it to your mouth, do I?
Congratulations, Zane.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Just I'm concerned that I remember the late Ayrton Senna had some problems because he's a driver from a third world country. What are some of the challenges you are facing, or do you perceive that there'll be any going forward, because you are from Barbados, so they'll be getting a lot of mileage from it, but you will have some challenges to deal with. How you plan to deal with them, you and your crew, the Barbados crew and your touring crew?
Well, I hope not. So far, it's been very, very cool to raise the Barbados flag, to put Barbados on the map. A lot of people don't know where Barbados is, what Barbados is. So, yeah, to be able to put Barbados out there is very cool. With Formula One now, it's, as we see with Logan Sargent this year, they wanted an American driver, and they got an American driver straight away. So I hope that they want a Caribbean driver soon. We'll see how it is, but I don't think there will be any challenges being from Barbados. I'm a driver, and I think especially Red Bull, but Formula One in general, they want the best drivers. So yeah, I'm sure that Red Bull will put me in if I do the best job.
Zane, there may be one challenge. I have to let you know it's minus 12 degrees in England. I would think for a Bajan that could be a challenge. Europe's covered in ice as we speak.
Yeah, I really hate the cold. Not as much as my mum, but I really hate the cold. But
when you said about your hands being cold at Spa, I mean it rains at Spa the majority of the time, and the rest of the time it's just cold, right?
Yeah, but to be honest, now I'm used to the cold. I'm more used to the cold than the heat here in Barbados. When I come back, I feel like passing out all day. So I'm used to the cold now. It's not nice, but not as nice as Barbados being here at Bushy Park. But yeah, it's still, I need to get the job done. So put a bit more clothes on and go racing.
You know what? You're actually not just putting Barbados on the map and yourself on the map, but Bushy Park. You know, again, when I got back to Silverstone, I was trying to explain Bushy Park to the English, and I said there's this circuit in Barbados where you can flick a switch and floodlighting comes on. You know, we don't have that at Silverstone, and we've been going since, Herbie, 1948? And we still have to bring lighting in if we want to run an all-night. I'm like, in the middle of the Caribbean, there's a circuit where you flick a switch and you can run night races. I mean, this is an amazing facility to find anywhere in the world, let alone in the middle of the Caribbean.
Yeah, it's amazing, Bushy Park. A lot of people ask me what my favorite circuit is, but Bushy Park is my favorite circuit. I would drive around here every day if I could. I would do every race here if I could, and hopefully sometime soon we can get events, big events here to Bushy Park, which we have. Uncle Mart and the crew at Bushy Park have already. So hopefully one day soon, if I get to Formula One, we can come here.
Well, first of all, should we say again, when I get to Formula One? Take a deep breath. Say when
I get to Formula One.
Steve, if I may just interject, I believe Market Vendor might have a question.
No, not Market Vendor, but Zane, when you carry the name Maloney in motorsports in Barbados, you're carrying a legacy. It starts with your grandfather, your dad, your uncles. It's a huge legacy. Do you feel a lot of pressure when you're out there to perform, carrying the name Maloney?
Well, my granddad did start the name off very well with his racing. I don't feel any pressure. Of course, it's very nice to be in the Maloney family. Everyone loves racing. We're very close as a family as well, which is it's rare to get as close as we are. So it's very cool. And Uncle Stuart, Uncle Mark, my dad, my granddad, even Justin, Joshua, Calum, they all push me when we're on the track. We have a lot of fun. So it's nice to come back and race against them. But my granddad, yeah, he started the family, so he's to thank.
Although not, thank you, Vic. Although not a question, John Seeley wanted to add a comment.
And my granny, sorry.
Oh dear.
Especially.
Zane, I'd like to congratulate you very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to pick up on a point that Steve mentioned earlier, that you'll be good for like Formula 2 and eventually Formula 1. And I think this is a terrific personality that you have. You are humble, you got your head on, and that's what I notice all the time. Yes, you're successful, but I notice how you do it is really important, and I want to compliment Steve for bringing it up tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Brothers, I think that is especially valid because at the moment F1 needs that quality. Now, as you move towards F1, Zane, you've got a challenge next year because your car is going to be twice as powerful and harder to drive than the car you competed in this year. Is that going to be a big step up?
Yeah, it's a very big challenge next year. I'm aware of that already. I did the test. I did the race in Abu Dhabi and I did the test in Abu Dhabi as well. It's a step up in terms of power, a step down in terms of grip, to be honest. In the corners, the F2 is almost slower than the F3, so it's a very different technique and different style of driving. I'm sure that the team that I'll be with next year will really teach me on what I need to do. And I think the biggest thing to learn from this year was not how to drive a car, but how to manage a weekend and manage a championship, because if I'm honest with myself, I should have won the championship by quite a big margin if I didn't make silly mistakes. So yeah, the main thing is to drive as fast as I can, but more importantly to keep the car on the track each weekend, not have any crashes, and bring home the best championship position as possible and not race by race.
And you know, when you're in Formula 2, as we were discussing earlier about that pyramid, you are at the point when you are really being scrutinized by the F1 team managers, the sponsors. I mean, there's no question about it. Everything you do is being watched, documented, and people are checking you out to see if you're the right stuff.
Yeah, I'm up for the task. I don't focus on social media anyways, in terms of the press. Maybe I don't know how much it will get, but so far I've not focused on that at all. I focus on the driving, and yeah, I know that if I train off the track and I do the best job that I can on the track, I'll be close to the front. So yeah, the plan is to just put the work in from now at Coverley, training hard, here at Bushy Park, doing as much as I can to learn about cars, learn about everything, and then the job on track will become easier.
I know already that the people that count in England, certainly in Europe, hold you in very high regard. I would say a word that came out earlier, which is well worth holding on to, is humble. Because if you hang on to that, everybody will love you.
Yeah, well, my mum and dad have taught me very well to stay humble, and I always will stay humble. I've had a very good upbringing, so yeah, there's not much more that I know. I see a lot of drivers, they can be cocky or they can say certain things,
but not the greatest champions. You won't really find examples of Lewis Hamilton.
That's another thing. I've looked up to Lewis all my life, and
Ayrton Senna, by and large, you know, he had a few moments, but by and large, these were guys who were very grounded, very humble, and I would say they stood above. You know, not everybody that's won a World F1 Championship would qualify in that league.
Yeah, well, I've, like I said, looked up to Lewis my entire life, so I've seen how he's handled himself, and he's handled himself amazingly for 20 years. So, yeah, I look up to him, and I hope to do something similar to him in most ways on track, and also how he carries himself off track is amazing for so long. So I always stay humble, and in the end, we're all living life, trying to do what we can. So there's no need to have any other approach.
You also, Zane, you're going to be a fantastic inspiration for the young sports people coming up in Barbados. I mean, to have somebody like you to focus on in Barbados is a magnificent thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I've seen many sports people this year especially do amazing things across the world. So I think from Barbados we can still, there's nothing that stops us from performing in Olympics or in racing or in anything really. So I think it will be, yeah, I'm trying to get kids in karting. Anything I can do to help, I will be there to do. And I think the mindset doesn't need to change, but the mindset in general for sports, we need to push the athletes along. And yeah, in any sport we can be the greatest in the world if we really put our mind to it.
Well said, Zane. Picking up on inspiration for sports persons in the island, we do have the Minister of Sport and the Minister of Tourism here, Minister of Sport Griffith and Minister of Tourism Gooding Edgehill, who might want to say a word or two, possibly. Might you, gentlemen? And if you stand, would you like to do it together? Let him go. Oh, he gets my chair. And he needs a microphone.
Thank you. Good night. First, let me apologize for being late, but you know, as a politician, that is almost standard, which is not a good thing. I hope that there's another award in the audience for the quality of the interview conducted by Zane so far. I mean, outstanding. Truly outstanding. As Minister of Sports, this is important because I sat there and I heard passion, dedication, coaching, support. And these are the things that we need to have embedded behind our young people. Every single time that there's a sporting event and Barbados is able to make podium and that flag is raised, then it is something special across the whole country. So when Zane and the others go past the finish line, it is not just Zane alone that is going past the finish line. He's taking, like I said, a whole country across the finish line with him. And one of the things that I keep hoping is that we're able to build on things like this. That this particular event tonight, I know the cameras are here, I know Mark, I don't know what kind of memory your camera got. But the fact is that we need to capture these moments because youngsters who are coming in terms of their different disciplines need to hear from somebody who's been there, who's done that. And the fact that Zane was being able to articulate and identify the different things that would have caused him to be at this stage are things that I think we need to bottle in Barbados and save and share with the next crop that is coming forward. Because these are the ones who are the future. Mark would have had his time, your dad, the others would have had their time. But these are the ones who now are taking the mantle and taking the baton and expected to take us to the next level. And as Minister of Sports, you know, I sit back and whenever these things happen, I said, yes, there's one other person that we have out there that we can pinpoint, that we can blow up and hold up and say, look, this is what the target's supposed to be. Because then I'm hoping that, and you mentioned just now, Zane, the fact that you're looking to get one or two other youngsters and you're prepared to come back and share. And that is important. The fact that when you reach the pinnacle that you're able to come back and give back to your sport, give back to country, is something that all of us are asking our athletes to do. Some will do it, some may not do it. But, you know, I really, really salute you in terms of your journey, and we fully expect you to go further as far as this particular journey is concerned. And not only those persons who are here tonight, but whenever, like I said, that you make podium, your success is our success. And we fully, fully embrace that. And I want to thank, you know, those who are supporting, because it is absolutely critical that we support the youngsters. And I'll give you an example. I was at road tennis recently, and I need to share this because I think it is important. And there was a youngster who was about to win, in my opinion, the road tennis match. And there were 3 persons that were sitting off to the side, and they were very, very critical of him. And, you know, he went over to these adults who were there and took him totally out of his game. And he was beaten, and he went one side, and he just sat, and none of them went to him, you know. And one of those individuals, one of them was a parent, his parent. And I'm suggesting that the fact that you have such a strong support, you know, behind you is important, because that is important. The other thing that is important in terms of all of this is the coaching. And I believe that in order for us to have world-class athletes in Barbados, we must have world-class coaches. And that is something that people might figure, you know, it is not necessary, but I believe it is. So hold on to where you're at, go to the next level. Government is here to support you in any way that we can. And I hope that, you know, podium is the standard for you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. As Barbados is marketing itself these days as Motorsport Island, which is a tourism idea, perhaps we should hear from the Minister of Tourism, sir.
Thank you. First of all, Zane, let me congratulate you.
Thank you.
Well done. I hope you can hear me clearly. My voice is somewhat under the weather. But I'm, like colleague Minister Griffith, Minister of Sport, absolutely delighted to be here with you this evening. And I would also like to thank the organizers, because this evening the conversation that I had with the 2 distinguished gentlemen, yourself, and we witnessed it here, was at the level of so professional that this event could be marketed worldwide. So I really want to say to you gentlemen, thank you very much, and thanks to the organizers for putting on what is a splendid array of Barbadian hospitality, but also an excellent conversation with Zane. As I congratulate you on your journey, what is an amazing journey. As I understand it, you would have moved from F4 to F3, and you're now on to F2. Obviously, to reach those heights, it would take a significant amount of discipline, which we heard today. And obviously, your dedication, your commitment to it, basically tells us a story that if you are driven to succeed, then you will definitely succeed. And listening to you myself here, I said to myself that Zane is not only driven to succeed, but he has what it takes to win and to go to the next level. And I'm one of like many Barbadians, if not all Barbadians, looking forward to see your graduation not only into F2, but also from F2 into F1. That will be a remarkable accomplishment for an island of 166 square miles. Clearly, I too would like to thank all your sponsors, because in order to get through sports, you must have sponsorship. And as I look at the board and I heard you talk about your family and all your other friends who are here to support you, I sat there and I said to myself, were it not for that support, would you have been able to do what you're doing? So that to all of you and all of the sponsors and all the supporters, I really want to say thank you, not only on Zane's behalf, but thank you on behalf of a grateful nation, Barbados, because you've really helped this young man to propel and to move in the right direction. You made an interesting point where when you go to events, some people don't know where Barbados is. I have some officials from the BTA, the Barbados Marketing Tourism Inc. here, and I kind of said that to them as well. And I indicated to them I'm only, just short of 6 weeks in this job. And I said to them, you know, we have to find a way to get Barbados' name out there, because I share a similar view. But I think with you now, I think it presents a wonderful opportunity to develop a partnership. And certainly I know that we have started that within the BTMI, and I want to say that the BTM will continue to be a very solid supporter and proud partner with you. But I also think there are other opportunities that we can advance, and where we can take it and advance Barbados and build up Barbados' name within the community. As you celebrate your success, Barbados will certainly gain substantially from your exposure. And I know most people in Barbados, was it Monaco, wherever you race, there are people who will be on the phone, any device, on the television, just watching your experience. So I think that will go a long way. And you have my commitment as a minister responsible. Of course, with good governance, I can't interfere directly in the operations of the board, but I'm sure that the board is wise enough to be taking the signals that I'm sending to ensure that we do what is necessary to continue to support. We are proud as well within the BTMI. We've done a lot of motorsport promotion. We've had 2 activations, one in Miami, one in Canada, and we do what we have to do in Ireland to promote it. It's going to be a significant pillar in respect of how we develop and market Barbados, because we believe we can't only market the sun, sea, and sand. We have to go beyond that and build up Barbados. It's an iconic destination in our traditional markets, but we're going beyond that now and trying to build up other markets. So when you're in Monaco, and if we had the appropriate marketing in Monaco, of course those persons, when they hear, oh, Zane is from Barbados, where's Barbados? We can say, oh, this is where Barbados is at. Come and join us, come celebrate Zane's success in Barbados. So I really want to, and of course thank your parents and your grandparents, of course, because as I sat there and I listened, the incredible family support that you have continues to make the difference, and you've acknowledged that, and that's wonderful. So all that's left for me, I don't want to go on and on and on, but I really want to say, on behalf of a grateful nation, thank you very much for everything you've done. I look forward to monitoring your success and watching your graduation into Formula F1, as they say. And I'm sure that as you succeed, Barbados will grow, its image will grow. But more importantly, you'll be able to bring along, as the Minister of Sport indicated, others with you and share your experiences. And when you have some downtime, it'd be good for you to get in maybe to some of our schools, primary and secondary and other tertiary institutions, and share your experience. Because a lot of people in Barbados, sometimes they need that motivation. They need to understand that you didn't start at the top. It started from right there with the golf, with the go-karts, and getting it right, and applying yourself and disciplining yourself to make it happen. And I think whenever you have some time, it'd be a wonderful story, so that the other young Barbadians could admire you as they do, but also listen to your story. And someday too, they would probably want to be where you are. And I think as a young person doing what you did, even the story you told, with the fact that you still had to go to school, you still had to pass your CXCs, that's a wonderful accomplishment. So thank you again. Prime Minister Motley is not here, but she sends her kindest regards. We were obviously at cabinet meeting earlier, but I want to say thank you on behalf of a grateful nation, but also I look forward to our partnering with you with the BTMI and doing what we have to do to ensure that not only you succeed, but Barbados is succeed. So thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll continue. My mom and dad made sure to get 2 or 3 Barbados flags in the suitcase every time I travel, so I'll continue to put them in.
So, Corey Garrett of the BTMI, did you get the email about what all of that was about? If you claim you didn't, we were all listening to what the minister was saying. I think really now possibly, do you want to say a word while you're here? Do you mind if I sit down for this? Because thank you very much.
Thank you. On good night, of course, protocols being observed. We have our 2 ministers here. I'm not sure if my chairman is here. I can't see past the light, but obviously Senator Maloney, etc. Obviously, as the ministers have expressed, the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc., of course, the whole of Barbados, we are looking forward to work with Zane. So congrats to you once again. I know Robin kind of put it out there that we are currently marketing our island as Motorsport Island, and this pretty much came up, as Minister alluded to earlier this year, and has been gaining some tractions quite well well since then. But obviously with your accomplishments, obviously with Bushy Park, we know the FIA gradings, Senator Malou, of course, we are also in deep discussions with the Barbados Motoring Federation on a whole. You give us much more that platform to really say, welcome to Motorsport Island. So you are the boy from Barbados, but as a whole, as a community, we are a Motorsport Island. BTMI, of course, is involved in the rally, what we call the summer or the June rally, etc., and all the other motorsports or the major motorsports events on island. And you definitely give us an opportunity to fly that flag from a tourism standpoint. And as the minister said, we have been at 2 activations, and we are working on more in the F1 arena and associated FIA arenas. So persons will no longer ask you where you are, where you're from. They'll definitely know where Barbados is from, and we've taken that even in the virtual reality complex, our virtual reality scene, in exporting that type of material in those types of spaces and beyond. So prolonging the comments any much longer, apart from the sporting tourism that we stand on, the motorsport arena also provides us what we call the MICE arena, the high net worth individuals who associate with the sport, who are looking for opportunities here on the island, whether it's from an investment from a sporting standpoint, or even on our luxurious coast or other investments, etc. So it does provide a great opportunity for us as a nation, a great opportunity for the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. And we thank you for your successes and wish you much more. The boy from Barbados from Motorsport Island. Congrats.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Corey.
It's quite cool to see, because at the beginning of the year in F3 and F2 on the social media page, everyone thought that I was running under a Maserati flag. So at the end of the year, they knew I was from Barbados. So I hope to continue to spread the word.
And have they worked out that Barbados isn't part of the Bahamas yet?
I think a lot of them will be coming on holiday this year, hopefully. So we'll see.
Excellent. I heard, I think probably it's about time to wrap this up, because I'm sure that there were some of you who would just like to talk one-on-one to Zane before he has to go to his bed, because it's been a very tiring day. How many countries did you go to last week? England, France, Italy?
England, France, Italy, Portugal, a few trains in the middle, and then
in 7 days. Yeah, a lot of travelling. You said that you don't pay too much, you're not too involved in how the social media thing works, but you probably do know that your Instagram post about the fact that you'd won that trophy over there did get 21,500 likes, which is apparently quite a lot for a small island like this. And you've got, what, 42,500 followers on Insta, and it's growing all the time. So that all helps all of this modern stuff that an old chap like me doesn't really understand. But that all helps the marketing thing. Zane, thanks so much for spending some time with us this evening. Steve, thanks for joining in. Thanks to all of our speakers, to Andrew, to Herbie, and our ministers, and to Corey, for making this a very special evening. And we wish you well for next year. Still a few things we've got to learn about what's happening next year there, but that won't be happening until after Christmas.
Yeah, the announcement is most likely going to be in January for certain reasons. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming out tonight. Of course, thank you to Uncle Mark for pushing my career on and really helping me in every way you can. Thank you to you, Granddad, for everything you do. Of course, Mum and Dad. Granny, other Granny, for all the support, and everyone for coming out tonight to enjoy this moment. And I will try to do my best, Uncle Stuart as well. I'll try to do my best next year for you guys.
Well done. Thank you everybody for attending what I think has been a cracking evening. Good to see you.
Thank you.